The evacuation ships left in silence. They rose from the burning skies of Cathel one by one, bright engines glowing against the dark clouds. Thousands of Varelians watched from the ground as the last Coalition ship disappeared into space. No one was coming back. The black spore plague had spread too fast. It moved through the air like smoke, invisible and deadly. Once infected, a person would weaken within days. Within weeks, entire cities would fall silent. The Galactic Coalition had strict rules. If a planet could not contain a plague, it was quarantined. If the plague became uncontrollable, the planet was abandoned. Cathel was now marked as lost. In a small farming settlement, far from the capital city, a Varelian family waited inside their home. The parents, Sarah-Lynn Vereen, stood near the window, their 3 young hatchlings huddled together behind them. The sky was empty. Cyril refreshed the emergency communicator again. Still no signal.
"They promised transports," Vereen whispered. Cyril did not answer.
He knew the truth. The transports had already left orbit. The Coalition had decided the colony was not worth the risk. Across the planet, distress signals continued to send automatically into deep space. Most species blocked the frequency. No one wanted contamination. No one wanted responsibility. Hours passed. Then something unexpected happened. A small cargo freighter traveling near the outer system picked up the signal. It was an old human ship named Perseverance. It was not a warship. It was not fast. It carried mining equipment and trade goods. Inside the ship's control room, Captain Elias Rowan listened carefully to the broken transmission. The voice on the recording was shaking. "This is Cathel Colony. Quarantine failure. Civilian families remain. Requesting evacuation, please." The message repeated again and again. The crew looked at their captain. Humanity had joined the Coalition only 12 years ago. They were still new, still watched carefully. Other species often described them as emotional and impulsive. The navigator spoke first. "Captain, that system is marked for total lockdown." The medic added quietly, "Black spore plague. Fatality rate above 90%. The crew waited for the order to continue their route. Captain Rowan stared at the holographic image of the dying planet. He thought of Earth, of its long history, of wars, disasters, and pandemics. Humanity had survived because people refused to leave others behind. He pressed a button and adjusted the ship's course. "We're going in," he said. Silence filled the room. "Sir," the navigator said carefully, "entering a quarantine zone is illegal under Coalition law." Rowan nodded. "So is abandoning civilians." "No," one argued after that. The Perseverance changed direction and jumped toward Cathel. On Cathel, Cyril was preparing to seal the lower rooms of the house. Food was limited. Clean air filters were failing. He was trying to stay calm for his children. Then the communicator made a sound. A different sound. Not the repeating distress signal. An incoming transmission. Cyril rushed to the console and activated the screen. The image flickered. A human face appeared. Tired. Serious. Real. "This is Captain Elias Rowan of the human freighter Perseverance," the man said. "We received your distress call. We are entering orbit now." "Sarah could not speak. You understand this is a quarantine zone?" Rowan continued. "Yes," Cyril answered slowly. "We'll land near your coordinates. Prepare your family. We'll get you out." Behind Cyril, his hatchlings looked at the screen with wide eyes. Vereen stepped forward. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why would you come here?" "Because someone should." The transmission ended as the Perseverance broke through the system's outer boundary. But they were not alone. Coalition patrol ships detected the human vessel immediately. A warning signal was sent. "Human ship Perseverance. You are entering a restricted quarantine zone. Turn back immediately or face consequences." Captain Rowan looked at the growing image of Cathel on his screen. Dark clouds, failing cities, A dying world. He activated the communicator. "This is Captain Rowan," he replied calmly. "We are not turning back." Outside, Coalition ships began to move into attack position. Inside their small home, the Varelian family watched the sky. For the first time in days, a small bright light appeared above the clouds. A human ship was coming, and for the first time since the evacuation, they felt something they thought was gone forever.
Hope. The Perseverance glided through Cathel's thick, dark clouds.
The ship shivered as turbulent winds ripped past its hull. Outside, the planet's surface was a chaotic mix of ruined buildings, smoke, and dying forests. The black spore plague had taken everything it could. Inside the ship, Captain Rowan studied the planet through the main viewport. The settlement coordinates sent by Cyril showed a small village nestled in a valley. Smoke rose from broken homes. Silence covered the streets. It was worse than he had imagined. "We have to hurry," Rowan said. "Atmospheric pressure is rising. Winds will get stronger soon." The navigator, a young human named Mira, tapped the control panel nervously. "Captain, Coalition patrol ships are closing in fast. They are armed. If we stay, they might attack." Rowan shook his head.
"We can't leave them. Not children."
"Not anyone." Meanwhile, on the planet, Cyril guided his hatchlings toward a small clearing behind their home. The children were pale, coughing, and scared. Virene carried the youngest in her arms, while the older two stumbled along, too weak to walk fast. "We won't make it," Virene whispered. Her voice trembled. "Even if they come, the plague will." She did not finish. She did not have to. But then, a bright light broke through the clouds. The humans were here. The Perseverance landed roughly in the clearing. Dust and debris flew in all directions. Cyril shouted to his family.
"Here, this way."
"Ooh. Hurry!" The hatchlings cried out, frightened, but followed. Virene ran beside them, her arms full of blankets to protect them from the wind. The humans rushed down the ramp. Medics, scientists, and engineers moved quickly. They carried disinfectant sprayers, protective suits, and portable air filters. They were prepared for infection, but they were also prepared to risk everything to save the family.
"Get them inside!" Rowan ordered. "Shields on!"
"Make it airtight." Inside the ship, the Varelian family gasped. It smelled strange.
Sterile. Safe.
Air flowed clean, filtered of the deadly spores. For the first time in weeks, the children could breathe without fear. One of the human medics knelt beside the hatchlings. "You're going to be okay," she said softly. "We will keep you safe." But safety was not guaranteed. Outside, Coalition ships hovered above the clouds, weapons aimed at the small freighter. Their scanners showed life inside. And now, the humans were breaking every rule in the Coalition law by shielding infected aliens. Mira's fingers danced over the controls. "Captain, they've given us one last warning. Fire, if you don't leave. They're serious."
Rowan ignored her. "We've made our choice."
Cyril watched the humans move with purpose. They worked together, not for money or recognition, but simply because it was right. Something stirred in him, something he hadn't felt since the plague began. Hope. But the plague was still dangerous. The hatchlings' coughs continued. Their skin burned slightly from infection. Human medics hurried to set up treatment stations. They ran tests on blood samples and air filters, working frantically to understand the deadly spores. "Captain," one scientist said, "this is unlike anything we've ever seen. The spores are aggressive, but our biology responds differently. If we study it carefully, we might find a cure."
Rowan looked at Cyril. "We're not just saving you."
"We might save the planet, and maybe even stop this plague from spreading." Cyril nodded, tears forming in his eyes. "You, humans, why? Why risk everything for us?" Rowan smiled faintly. "Because someone has to. Someone always should." Outside, the Coalition ships hovered closer. Their weapon systems were locked. The countdown began. Inside the Perseverance, humans and Varelians worked together. Air filters hummed, protective suits hissed, children were calmed with soft words, blankets, and gentle hands. And then a loud warning blared through the ship. Last chance, leave immediately, or be destroyed. The hatchlings were trembling, Vereen clinging to Cyril, fear in every eye. He took a deep breath. "No," he said. "We stay.
We fight. We save them.
Even if it costs us everything." The humans prepared to defy the entire coalition. The Varelian family realized for the first time that someone truly cared for them. Somewhere deep inside the galaxy, humanity was proving it could be more than new reckless members of the coalition. They were showing the galaxy what humans had always been: brave, stubborn, and compassionate beyond reason. And that defiance would change everything. The Perseverance shook violently as the coalition ships hovered above Cathel, their weapons glowing like angry stars. The humans inside the ship worked like a single machine, moving with precision, urgency, and fear. Every second counted. Captain Rowan stood at the main console, watching both the radar and the planet below. Smoke rose from broken buildings, fires burned through empty streets, and yet, in the small valley where the Varelian family hid, the humans had managed to create a safe zone, a bubble of clean air and hope.
"We don't have much time," Rowan said. "If they fire, this ship won't survive more than a few seconds."
Lena Ortiz hurried past him, carrying the youngest hatchling. "The children are stable for now," she said. "But we can't wait any longer. We need to act fast." Inside the makeshift lab, human scientists and engineers worked feverishly. Samples of the plague were spread out on reinforced tables. Protective barriers hissed with sterilized air. They ran tests, compared Varelian blood with human blood, and monitored every reaction. One of the scientists, a young woman named Erin, noticed something remarkable. "Captain, the spores react differently to humans. Our white blood cells attack them aggressively. They're destroyed faster." Rowan frowned.
So, we can resist it?
Aaron nodded. "Not just resist."
We might be able to create a cure, but we need to test carefully.
One wrong move, and the infection spreads inside the ship. Cyril watched the humans work. He had never seen beings so determined, so fearless. He turned to Vereen. Why are they doing this? Why risk themselves? Vereen shook her head, unable to answer. They only hoped. Suddenly, the ship's alarm blared. A coalition fighter had broken through the outer perimeter, scanning the freighter. Weapons locked. The navigator shouted, "They're ready to fire!" Rowan's jaw tightened. "We hold our position. Not one hatchling leaves without us." Outside, the humans activated the ship's temporary atmospheric shield, a fragile dome of energy over the valley. It shimmered in the stormy sky. The shield was not a weapon. It could not harm the coalition, but it could protect the humans and Varelians below from the plague spores. The coalition ships hesitated, scanning the freighter. Across the galaxy, sensors were picking up the humans' transmissions. The story of a small freighter risking everything to save a family went viral in coalition networks. Millions watched. Some murmured quietly, "Humans were reckless." Or, "Heroes." Inside the lab, Erin carefully injected the first Varelian hatchling with a serum derived from human antibodies. The hatchling cried, weak and trembling. The humans held it gently, soothing it with soft words. Time slowed. Minutes passed. The children's breathing steadied. Color returned to their faces. The hatchlings' coughs lessened. Cyril could not hold back tears. They might survive, he whispered. Rowan exhaled slowly. "We're not done yet," he said. "The coalition won't give up easily." A new wave of ships had arrived. Coalition fighters began moving into attack formation. Mira, the navigator, pointed at the radar. "They're targeting the shield." Rowan clenched his fists. "Then we fight. All of us." The humans worked frantically to boost the shield's power. Engineers rerouted all energy from the freighter's engines. Scientists continued testing and refining the serum. Medics calmed frightened children. whispering courage and hope into tiny ears. Outside, the coalition ships fired warning shots into the atmosphere. Energy beams struck near the freighter, sending clouds of dust and ash into the air. But the shield held. For now. Rowan looked down at the Varelian family, pale but alive. "If we fail," he whispered, "we'll fail together, but we don't give up." The hatchlings looked at the humans with wide, trusting eyes. Cyril realized that this was more than a rescue. Humanity was showing the galaxy something that could not be measured by weapons or laws. They were showing that courage, compassion, and determination could defy even the greatest danger. And in that moment, despite the storm, the plague, and the looming enemy, a small miracle took place. The first of the Varelians began to recover. The humans' risky plan had worked. But the fight was far from over. The coalition would not stand down. The plague was still out there, and the humans had committed to a defiance that could change everything, or destroy them all. Outside, the dark sky above Cathal glowed with the coming battle. Inside the Perseverance, humanity prepared to fight, not just for survival, but for hope. And hope, for the first time in weeks, burned bright. The dark sky over Cathal was alive with streaks of light. Coalition ships circled the freighter, weapons aimed, engines roaring. Every second counted. The humans inside the Perseverance knew that one wrong move could mean total destruction. Captain Rowan stood at the main console. Sweat dripped down his forehead, but his hands were steady. "We've made it this far," he said. "We don't stop now." Lena Ortiz carefully held the youngest hatchling as Aaron monitored the serum's effect on the other children. "They're responding better than expected," Aaron said, her voice trembling with hope. "If we act fast, we can make enough for everyone." Cyril and Vereen watched the humans work. They had been abandoned by their own species, left to die. But these humans, they risk everything. Not for power, not for reward, not for law, but because it was right. Outside, the coalition ships fired warning beams. The energy hit the freighter's shields with violent force. Sparks and vibrations shook the ship. Mira, the navigator, shouted, "Shields are holding, but just barely." Rowan activated the communication channels. "All ships," he said firmly, "we will not leave. If you fire on us, you fire on the lives of children. The Varelian family below is under our protection. Stand down, or face consequences."
A tense silence followed. Some coalition ships hesitated.
Not because of orders, but because everyone could see what humans were doing. Across the galaxy, millions were watching. Humans risking themselves to save innocent lives. It was something new. Something powerful. Inside the freighter, the human scientists worked faster than ever. The serum, created from human antibodies, was stable. Enough doses were prepared to treat the family and any infected survivors in the valley. Rowan turned to Cyril. "We can cure your family," he said, "but we need to move quickly." Cyril nodded. "Do it." The humans carefully administered the serum to the hatchlings. Each injection brought relief. Color returned to their pale faces, their coughs lessened, their energy slowly returned. The parents followed next, shaking and weak, but alive. Outside, the coalition ships began to lift slightly. Messages from their fleets arrived, reports of human bravery, public opinion, and even minor species intervening on humanity's side. The galaxy was noticing. Humans could not be ignored anymore. Rowan activated the freighter's loudspeakers. "This is humanity," he announced. "We stand for life, even when it is risky. Abandonment is not our law. Compassion is."
"Let this be known." The coalition paused.
Admiral Vex, commanding the fleet, realized that destroying the Perseverance would be more than an attack. It would be a political disaster. Orders were recalled. The ships began to pull back. Inside the freighter, the Varelian family embraced the humans. Tears ran freely. The hatchlings clung to Captain Rowan, smiling through fear and exhaustion. Cyril whispered, "We are alive."
Cousin.
Rowan shook his head. "No. Because of all of us. Humans, Varelians, together. We survived because we chose to care. The plague on the planet did not disappear instantly, but now there was hope. The serum was distributed to nearby settlements. Infected areas were treated. Slowly, Castle began to recover. Years later, the youngest hatchling, fully grown, stood before the Galactic Council. Behind him sat a human delegation. The galaxy had changed. Humanity was no longer seen as reckless newcomers. They were the species that refused to leave the helpless behind. Cyril and Virene sat quietly, proud and grateful. Their children were alive, strong, and their world was healing. They had been abandoned, but humans had shown that courage and kindness could defy even the darkest odds. Captain Rowan, older now, smiled quietly. He had never sought recognition. He only believed that life mattered. That sometimes doing the right thing was more powerful than any law, weapon, or fleet. The Council listened. The galaxy listened. Humanity had proven itself. And somewhere on Kefel, the wind carried the faint hum of the Perseverance departing for its next mission, because humans did not leave anyone behind. And that choice changed everything.